Welcome back to the Daily Taoist with Will S. We are talking about the Tao Te Ching and how to get back into spirit and alignment with the way. Today I'll be talking about verse 81, the final verse of the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching was written 2,500 years ago by a man named Lao-Tzu. It is one of the oldest texts in existence and certainly one of the wisest. Its wisdom is timeless, and its message is as relevant and important now as it was back then, if not more so. It is vital that we learn to come back into balance with the natural world, to live in a more harmonious and selfless way, and the Tao Te Ching beautifully instructs us in bringing ourselves and our lives into alignment with the Tao. Verse 81. True words are not eloquent. Eloquent words are not true. Wise men do not need to debate. Men who need to debate are not wise. Wise men are not scholars. Scholars are not wise. The master desires no possessions. The more he does for others, the happier he is. The more he gives to others, the wealthier he is. The Tao nourishes by not forcing. The master imitates this, acting for the good of all and opposing himself to no one. One of the insights in this final verse of the Tao Te Ching appears to echo the opening words of the first verse, namely that the truth cannot be expressed or contained in words, however eloquent or beautiful they might be. Truth is beyond words. Therefore, there is no need to debate it, and even less need to try and seek it through acquired knowledge. Truth is nothing, and yet everything. It is the Tao, the great expanse of emptiness, the unmanifest, the wellspring of pure potentiality from which everything emerges. But don't get hung up on the words. As Lao-Tzu stated in verse 1, the moment you try to label it and express it with words, you've lost it. For the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. Much of the Tao Te Ching is comprised of Lao-Tzu's portrait of the master. He or she who has fully realized the Tao and who effortlessly embodies it in daily life. Being deeply rooted in the Tao, the master has no need to fixate on the outward forms of life. The world of the 10,000 things. Why fixate on something, when you know your true essence to be nothing, no thing? Things are just taken care of. There is nothing to strive for and nothing to achieve. The master's nature is to give, in much the same way as the sun's nature is to shine and the water's nature is to nourish. This isn't a manufactured or calculated giving. It is simply a natural propensity not to hold back and contract, but to expand, reach outward, and share. What does the master give? He gives whatever the situation requires and whatever his heart prompts him to give. The final pearl of wisdom in this timeless treasure of a text is to refrain from forcing things. The Tao operating through nature has no need to force. Any attempts to force invariably end in calamity. Flowers and trees bud and blossom at exactly the right time, just as day follows night and spring follows winters exactly the same time. There is no need to force anything. Letting go, we can see the perfection inherent around us, and life becomes an exquisite exercise in allowing. When we remove the obstructions created by our grasping minds, things naturally come into balance. There's nothing we need to do but allow the Tao to flow through us, directing our words and actions. Surrendering to this inherent power within us, we come into alignment with the truth of what we are and become an instrument of harmony in this world. Compliments for the essay go to Rory at the dailytaoblogspot.com. Thank you, Rory. I'm just reading his final words at the bottom of the page. Thank you for joining me in my Tao journey. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. It's been great revisiting this and revising my commentary. I love the message of the Tao and believe it is deeply relevant today as it was 2,500 years ago, if not more so. He says he compiled the content of his blog into a small book, originally conceived as a gift for friends and family who might not be interested, but especially blog people. And he intended to make it available on his website if he was happy with it, and perhaps even Kindle. And I, Will S., translated this blog to YouTube and podcast. So I know I threw my 2 cents in here and there. He also has a couple other blogs, Lucid Exposition and Dreamlight Fugitive. I can link those in the description. The Crow says, only 81 verses. What are we going to do now? Well, all things being circular, this 81st verse brings us back once more to the beginning, which is itself only an illusory thing. The Tao defined is not the eternal Tao, and the name that can be named is nothing but a name. I wonder what the Tao will have to say next time around, bearing in mind, of course, that it will have nothing to say at all, only that we ourselves make of it. Thank you, Rory. And in the words of Blade Runner, one of my all-time favorite lines is, "You've done a man's job, sir." The Crow, later that same day. The master has no possessions. The more he does for others, the happier he is. The more he gives to others, the wealthier he is. No possessions, take to mean being unattached to what is possessed, as opposed to actually not having any. The more he does for others, manifesting the wisdom he has come by, the more he gives of himself, not stuff. Goodwill, attention, openness, brotherhood. The modern usage of giving is usually applied to the external: money, food, shelter, tax breaks, medical care. I may be in error, but this makes far more sense to me than the usual Western interpretation. Just saying. Happy face. Rory says February 25th, 2012 at 11:23 p.m. Thanks for reading again your comments. I love Blade Runner. Take the quote. Agree, RE, the possessions. Giving can mean many things and no doubt depends on the needs of the situation and those involved. Those who have less than we do are among the many in poverty and suffering, obviously require the tangibles for basic survival. Those that already have enough but lack the inner treasures of wisdom and self-knowledge require the intangibles. Those may be the greatest gifts that can be bestowed. Thanks for your comments and insights. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. It's definitely been a journey this year and a half, trying to wrap my head around everything that's transpired in my life, going from unemployment back to self-employment to employment to unemployment, and now just living in a provincial park, doing my trade, doing this blog, doing this podcast. I don't really know what's next for me. I know I'm just in a healing phase right now. I'm not trying to put a lot of stress on myself. I'm trying to heal myself, not the world. I may or may not get back into the Doomer Bloomer podcast, which is my way of connecting with people who need extra help in this world with the intangibles and the tangibles. I haven't been finding a lot of enjoyment out of that podcast, because it takes a lot of work to line up guests and do interviews and that sort of thing. I'm very much in an introverted phase right now, and I just really want to focus on the Daily Taoist. After this verse, I may be taking a bit of a break, and then starting up, I will probably be reading out of Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life by Dr. Wayne Dyer, which first introduced me to the principles of the Tao, and go from there. Once again, I have no expectations of anyone, including myself. I do this wholly for my own benefit mostly. If you do get enjoyment out of the content, hit me up at the _Daily Taoist on Instagram, at the Daily Taoist on Twitter and Facebook. I do not have a TikTok. Send some love to the YouTube channel of the Daily Taoist of the same name, and we'll go from there. Love each and every one of you guys in the Mandelbrot universe. Namaste from Will S.